I broke my back.
What do you mean by that?
My back is broken.
What do you mean, calm it down? It's a fight. Referees telling two fighters who want to fight to calm it down. He should calm down.
I saw he's like a clown in his show, man. He's not your guy.
Because Tyson Fury's back, and all you motherfuckers are under attack.
Look, Eddie Hearn can say all what he likes. Who gives a shit what Eddie Hearn says? It's garbage.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Can you let me retire and be happy? Please, just please.
Bombs away for the Bronx Bomber!
Wanda! Let's go, baby! Let's go! I'm through. They put somebody else up and give me an interview.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
You never give me a fair shake. HBO needs to fire you. You don't know shit about boxing. You ain't shit. You're not shit.
I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass.
I got dropped, man. Are you kidding? No, you won the fight.
OMG, I am so excited.
Any of you radio personalities think you want smoke? Call me Mr. Chimney. I want smoke.
Yes. What is up? What is up, MCR family? Another daily edition of the show live on YouTube. And, you know, I need to stop saying the daily edition of the show because, Rob, we don't do daily edition of the show anymore. And I was about to say, like, it's been a while, Rob. Like, we did a show, I think, either yesterday or the day before. That was Patreon. And even you said, like, oh, it's like the first, like, show back. And I'm like, no, like, we did a show, like, you're right. Doesn't really count. We're back live, me and you, the duo, dynamic duo together. No fucking Fugatti. Get out of here, casual. Thank you. You read my mind. Fucking Chewbacca over there doing whatever he's doing, you know, enjoying his last day at work, shitting on his boss's desk, whatever that you do at your last day at work, right? But anyways, at MCR and Mixed Combat Radio, we have so much to discuss. And honestly, when I say so much, I mean very little. But I expect me and Rob to be here for the full 2 hours and to talk about God knows what. Because Rob, I'm in a silly mood, so we might find some rabbit holes and jump down them. I just hope you know that, Rob. I'm in that mood. But anyways, I am Matt, the Hipster Hunter. Obviously, this is Mixed Combat Radio. Hit the like button, share the show, subscribe, all that YouTube podcast stuff. You know what to do. We're going to talk about Triple G, Charlo getting fights in the middleweight division, sort of the middleweight division stacking up for the next quarter. Shakur Stevenson in some really unfortunate and just gross legal troubles, let's be honest, that we're going to have to talk about, mainly just due to the fact that there's a vast lack of news out there. Gervonta Davis having a fight in Baltimore coming up. No opponent next, but there's a line in the article that I want to sort of, again, like I said earlier, like jump down a rabbit hole, have some conspiracy time here. And I have a theory for Tank Davis versus Tevin Farmer this year. On top of that, I think it's a overall strategy by Showtime/PBC that we will dive into. But anyways, so much to get to, so little time. But Rob, how you doing today? The Han Solo of the group over there in the UK. Second cousin, twice removed of Eddie. Rob, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. Good to be back. And yes, Gary, you know, us old folk, we need a break from time to time. Plus, there's been little to no news that have been...
God, it sucks.
You know, I even tweeted Coppinger earlier and said,
I saw that.
Mike Coppinger, come on, rinse those sources. Where's the boxing news at? But, you know, we got a little bit to go with, so we'll talk about it. Yeah, a few interesting things, and obviously we'll see where Matt takes us as he's in a silly mood.
Rob, you love when I'm in a silly mood. Don't hate. You know it.
I don't hate it. Just wondering where this goes.
We'll get into that silly mood and rabbit hole conspiracy theory in a bit. But let's talk about more of the mundane topic, you know, so to speak. The Triple G news, Madison Square Garden's what they're looking at for his next fight, and the next opponent, per Lance Pugmire, is looking to be Hassan Nadam. I mean, I guess. I actually like the opponent. I think it's a decent comeback tune-up fight off of 2 fight-of-the-year contenders, contentious decisions, and a loss against Canelo. Whatever I think people want to say about Hassan Adam, he's still a borderline top 20 middleweight perennially. Like, he's still that talented. And obviously, we're going to talk about Brandon Adams in a bit, the opponent that was first talked about with Triple G, now talked about with Charlo. This is a better matchup, in my opinion, than a Golovkin versus Adams fight at Madison Square Garden. So I have no issue with it. Like, on the surface, on the face of it, I have seen some outrage about this, or not outrage, some criticism about it on boxing Twitter, and from the the PBC side of boxing Twitter, and it's just funny because they made fun of the Brandon Adams. I mean, I'm gonna say Brian Adams so many times on the show, by the way, guys, so many times, God. But Brandon Adams, when that news was first reported by with Triple G and that connection, the PBC boxing Twitter sphere, they made fun of that. Of course, they haven't kept the same energy about Charlo and Brandon Adams. We're going to get to that in a second. But Triple G, Hassan Adam, I think it's a decent matchup. It makes complete sense if it's a tune-up. Madison Square Garden's a pseudo hometown or home stadium for Triple G. He's fought there a lot. It makes sense. So I have no issues with it. It makes sense. I'll be entertained by it. And plus, I will also add to it, for a guy that struggled a little bit with the movement of Canelo in the first fight, especially, the second fight, obviously, Canelo had a sort of different game plan and style to the fight. But in the first fight, especially, he struggled with the footwork of Canelo. Hassan Adam has some of those qualities. So it would be sort of good to see Triple G face someone that can still give him some issues, or at least make him work for the knockout, so to speak. But Rob, your thoughts on the Triple G Hassan Adam rumors and the Triple G Madison Square Garden news? Because that seems like it is for sure going to be at MSG, whoever it may be, if it's Hassan Adam or not.
Oh yeah, I kind of like it. It's all right. It's not got me feeling any kind of way. I'm not like super hyped by it, and I'm not like disgusted by it. He's I'd say a fairly durable guy. I think his 3 losses, he hasn't been stopped. I think they're UD, and retired. Yeah, so it's I guess a valid opponent. Going to hope maybe give Triple G some rounds and let him get back into the swing of things. But yeah, I think like you said, it's rumored either the 8th or the 16th or 15th of June. Which, depending
8th or 14th. 8th or 14th.
Oh, okay.
And actually, the 14th would be a Friday. That's interesting. I bet the 15th is some other sort of boxing event that they don't want to compete with. I would assume I just can't think of. But that's interesting that they're just looking at a Friday date. But anyways, back to you.
I just believe that's also the one of the dates for the Charlo fight.
Ooh, that makes sense.
So it's, I guess, one will go with either the 8th and the other one will go with the other available date on that
weekend.
Sort of, yeah, that time frame. So yeah, but yeah, like I say, it's a comeback fight for Triple G off the back of a couple of wars with Canelo. Yeah, I've not got a problem with it whatsoever. I think it's a decent matchup, and then obviously, whether the next fight for Triple G is maybe the Canelo trilogy, or one of maybe the winner of Canelo Jacobs, or whether it be Andrade or whoever. But yeah, I'm sure they'll step it up for the second fight. But yeah, welcome back, welcome to DAZN. Beat up on this sort of reasonably tough guy.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Andrade and Triple G are in setup mode right now. Similar to like the PBC welterweight division in the first quarter of this year. None of the top guys fought each other. They were all in setup fights to fight each other in the second and third quarter of the year. It looks like that's sort of what they're doing with the middleweight division. Obviously, Canelo Jacobs is a fantastic fight, in my opinion. Others have different opinions of it. You can have a more nuanced opinion of it if you want, but I think it's a great fight. But the other sort of top middleweights they have are obviously not fighting each other. We're not getting Triple G on Andrade right away, which I don't blame them. They are in setup fights to probably fight either in the next quarter, in third or fourth quarter of this year, or one of them fight the winner of Canelo Jacobs, and the other has another setup fight. You know, whatever it may be, it makes sense, and we're still getting a decent matchup, I would argue, with Triple G. Hassan Adam, you could still argue on paper, is one of the better opponents on Triple G's resume. Like, if you really want to make that argument, like, he's only lost to David Lemieux and Moreta, so that's...
And Peter Quillen.
And Peter Quillen. Those are all three top guys, two of them former champions. One of them was a regular belt holder. Fuck that, but I at least want to make mention of that. You know, he is still a top-notch quality opponent. This is right up there with like a Curtis Stevens or a Gabriel Rosado level win, in my opinion, for Triple G. It's not a bad opponent. The criticism it has received from the minority has been odd in the boxing community. It definitely seems like there's some bias to that.
It's been hilarious. It's when it was originally Triple G and Brandon Adams, he got so much shit for that. They were like, "This is a joke," blah blah blah.
Because it was.
And then this comes out, and Charlo's. There's someone done a tweet, and they must have done like a YouTube video about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy screenshotted like this guy's comment. It was all Triple G, the cherry picker, blah blah blah, this that and the other. And then the news story came out that it was going to be Charlo and Adams, and it was in defense of Charlo. It's like, I'm sure they were PBC are going to pay Brandon Adams more than DAZN were going to. You know, it's like justify. It's all good for your boy Charlo, but it wasn't good enough for Triple G. So yeah, interesting.
Speaking of that, Jermall Charlo, Brandon Adams, June 15th or 8th on Showtime is what they're looking at in Houston. Look, I understand them wanting to take a sidestep with Charlo. You know what I mean? Like, he didn't look good against Korobov. I understand them not trying to catapult him against some other fighter that's an elite competitor, who I can't imagine who that would be, because PBC doesn't have a lot of the top middleweights. Maybe they pulled like a Moreta out of nowhere or something like that. You know, some sort of name value, somebody with name value in the division. I assumed a sidestep, but this to me seems like an obvious, 5-6 steps back, in my opinion, for Jermall Charlo. It seems to me that they're making a showcase event out of it. It's a hometown fight. It's against an opponent that, in my opinion, doesn't have a lot for Jermall Charlo. I think this should be a quick knockout, let's be honest. So I'm not too happy with it, I'll be honest. I understand from a promoting side, from promoting managerial side of it, why you would make this fight, why you would sort of step Jermall Charlo's competition level back a little bit from Matt Korobov. I would understand that, but this seems so much of a giant step back that I can't co-sign it in any way. It isn't a good fight. Like, there's no way you can argue this is a good fight. So I don't know. I don't want to be too critical of Jermall Charlo. I like Jermall Charlo. I think he's a fantastic fighter, but this is a very, very bad matchup. It's also a matchup that with such an obvious PR negative side effect to it, where this name was just mentioned with Triple G, and it was universally, I believe, criticized. I don't think anyone applauded the Triple G Brandon Adams news when it first came out, or the rumors that came out, 3 weeks ago? Mm-hmm. So for them to then turn around and to take that opponent, and I've even seen Dante's Boxing. I'll call that guy out by name. Dante's Boxing. I've seen put on a headline like Jermall Charlo steals Triple G's opponent, and the framing of that is so fucking ludicrous. Like, I can't even I can't fathom why you would bend over backwards to frame the discussion that way. It's crazy to me. I don't know. I cannot be happy about this matchup. I also will want to add, Showtime does seem to be getting the lesser matchups. Obviously, Wilder, Brazil, I think it's going to cost them a lot of money for obvious reasons, because they're going to have to match that money in some way. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to cost PBC or Showtime a lot for that event in this quarter. It's the same quarter of this card. I would assume their budget's a little bit depleted for the rest of their schedule this year. But, God, this is bad. And on top of that, it doesn't give Showtime some good ammunition to come back at the criticism they have rightly received. And we will get into later with some of Steven Espinoza's comments about Deontay Wilder. Just wait on that, Rob. I saw you just perked up. It's okay. We're going to get to that later in the show. But anyways, Jermall, Charlo, Brandon Adams. Rob, you haven't even talked about it. I want to get your thoughts, obviously, on this fight announcement. And or not fight announcement, because I don't think it's official yet. Keith is saying that it's confirmed through multiple sources that Adams has agreed to the contractual terms. It looks like the fight's going to happen, but it's not 100% official yet. Rob, your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I mean, just quickly, he also tweeted on top of his boxing scene article that the way it was explained to me was that either Jermall Charlo, Brandon Adams will be June 15th or the 8th on Showtime, or the Jermall Charlo Tony Harrison rematch on Fox June the 23rd. Yes, a Sunday night is headed to Houston, but not both. So it's like one of the Charlos will be in Houston, but it's not clear which one exactly just yet.
And is he also saying that it's not clear which one would be on Fox and which one would be on Showtime?
No, he's saying Jermall and Tony Harrison rematch is on Fox.
Okay, those things are for sure. Okay. All right,
yeah,
just making sure.
And that's June 23rd. And he says, yes, that is a Sunday night. Okay. So it's a different look. But
Fox has been experimenting with Sunday nights. I'm not surprised by that.
Yeah. And he said, so that is heading to Houston, but not both. So, and I saw someone say, I forget where, is Tony Harrison, Detroit area or something like that? I think someone said the rematch with Tony Harrison for Jermall would make sense in Detroit. And I saw a bunch of people like agreeing with it. They're like, yeah, he deserves it. I think it was even Keith Idek commented, said, yeah, like he deserves, like that hometown.
I think the Charlo Harrison fight would be the better. Well, first off, it's the better fight for obvious reasons. Harrison beat Charlo. There's instant storyline there. It's two top 5, top 10 guys in the division. Brandon Adams is at best top 60 middleweight. I mean, what's he ranked on BoxRec? Like, humor me here, Rob. I'm curious. What's he ranked on BoxRec?
Who?
Brian Adams.
Well, let me type in his.
We definitely should have had like a Summer of '69 soundbite.
Every time you say it, Brandon.
Yes, I guarantee. I would have said it on purpose, like I just did right now, just to play that soundbite.
All right.
This is why we need Foo. We need Foo here to like get the song on YouTube, just to at that same part in the chorus.
BoxRec have got Brandon Adams at number 16 in the world.
Really?
Uh-huh. Let me check.
In the world?
Uh-huh. He is above
crazy.
Hugo Centennial Jr.
Oh, that's nice.
Above Gabe Rosado, Vanes Moderation, Luis Arias.
Oh, my God.
Above Korobov.
Whoa. Sorry. That
I blew you away there. Sorry.
Wow, that's insane. He's above Korobov. That's just disrespect.
And he's 5th in America as an American
middleweight.
Middleweight, yeah.
Yeah.
Jacobs, Charlo, Andrade, Brandt, and then
who's
Adams.
after him?
Centennial Jr., Rosado, Moderation, Arias, Korobov. Emmanuel Leem.
Oh, they're counting Korobov as American.
Yep.
Oh, interesting. Okay. That's crazy. Look, Brandon Adams isn't good. This is not. Young Suave or Suave. I like saying Suave. It's better. Said he is ranked top 5 in 2 sanctioned bodies. That's nuts. That's what the Contender does for you, apparently, man. That was a good launching platform for this guy. Got him a big fight, obviously, with the biggest PBC middleweight. Anyways, I don't like the fight. Don't like the matchup at all. I think the double standard and criticism is just glaring, in my opinion. It is what it is, though. You know, I mean, this is the problem with the PBC middleweight division. There's not depth to it. On top of that, the middleweight division is a little bit top heavy, I would argue, Rob. Like, there's 5, 7, maybe 8 really good guys, and then there's a very steep drop off after that.
Yeah, I mean, the world rankings according to BoxRec, you got Canelo, Triple G, Jacobs, Jermall Charlo, Jeff Horn,
How?
yeah, Demetrius Andrade, David Lemieux. Then you get to like the Derevchenko, Rob Brandt, Selecki, and Jack Colclay, Ray Murata, Liam Williams, Brandon Adams. You know what I mean? There's like you can almost draw a line.
It's very obvious what the elite guys, who the elite guys are and who aren't the elite guys are. And Brandon Adams isn't that. He isn't in the elite category. He has not done anything to prove that. So just a bad matchup.
He won the contender, Matt. He won the contender.
Rob, did you watch a single episode or a second of the Contender?
Yeah, you guys had it, and because of, following the Twitter world of, boxing Twitterverse, I obviously knew what was going on with it. And then just recently on ITV4, we had like episode 1 of it, like fucking 6 months later or whatever. So
you watched episode 1?
I saw bits and pieces.
Oh,
it's just a little bit too like reality TV.
It's 2006.
Yeah,
let's just be honest. Reality TV. It's a little bit old.
Yeah.
Anyways,
always wait for the certain scenes may be dramatically enhanced for viewing, but you know what I mean? It's like we've basically made shit up.
I didn't watch a single episode, Rob. It's okay. I may have watched like couple of the trailers on Twitter because boxing Twitter, but God, I would never sit through a whole hour of that. I'm just being honest.
Fair enough.
I told you, Rob, I'm in a silly mood. Like I'm gonna be very blunt this show. You're lucky we're not talking about Okoli or Ritson, okay? It'd be awful. But let's talk about Gervonta Davis instead and Tevin Farmer. Rob, you want to say something about Okoli? I sense something.
No, you carry on with your hatred. It's fine. Karma's a bitch.
Anyways, WBA champion Gervonta Davis to fight in July near Baltimore home. But to me, that's not the news that I want to dive into. I shouldn't say news. That's a mischaracterization of what we're going to...
What is the news? Is he fighting someone his own weight?
That's a good one. No opponent has been mentioned yet, and I'm not expecting a good opponent. But what I did like in this article is that it reminded me, and I think everyone, that Tevin Farmer has 1 fight left on his DAZN contract. And I think that is peculiar. Because, again, Rob, just follow me here, okay? There's not a lot of news out here, Rob, okay? I'm doing the best I can, okay? Just
explain the peculiarity of someone having a fight deal and having fought some of those fights that he's now got 1 remaining. What's going on, Matt?
Well, obviously, the framing of the article was, look, they want the Farmer fight, but they're going to sort of wait till the contract is up. And that made me curious because, look, we talk a lot about sort of the network battle, right? That a lot of the ebbs and flows of this sport, the ups and downs of this sport are based off of these networks beefing and battling out in terms of who gets the content, right? Like that's really that determines the nature and the path that we get for matchups and for us as consumers. I think it's pretty obvious that Showtime is not using up a lot of their budget this first half of the year. I think it's pretty obvious on top of that, they're going to try to get the AJ Wilder fight in the second half of this year on Showtime pay-per-view. On top of that, if Farmer's contract is up on DAZN, and he's still a co-promoted Lou DiBella Matchroom guy, there's still obviously Al Heyman connections through DiBella. I could see them also not necessarily poaching Farmer for like a fight deal or anything like that, but definitely poaching him for a Davis fight. And Rob, I don't know if you're listening to me or ignoring me here because you're looking down at your phone, and it's making me really upset because I want you to like respond to this conspiracy here. What do you think is the likelihood here? Like, give me a percentage here, right? That we get a Showtime coup, so to speak, over the boxing landscape in the second half of this year and somehow land a AJ Wilder pay-per-view card, and on top of that, a Gervonta Davis Tevin Farmer fight.
What are the chances of it?
Yeah, likelihood.
I don't know. I think Tevin is
like,
enjoyed.
Do you see like my thought process though?
Okay. I mean, we said when Wilder turned down the DAZN offer, it was pretty clear that Showtime want that fight on. That want that fight on pay-per-view on Showtime.
And I'm just adding that I think there's a clear strategy here from Showtime that they are waiting in this first half, and they're not using a lot of their budget. And the second half of this year, they're waiting for some of these guys, like a Tevin Farmer, and who knows else. There might be another guy on the docket that I am not aware of that has his contract up that I'm just, again, not privy to, or I'm just not I wasn't read up on, like it's not in front of me, like this Tevin Farmer information is. That Showtime is looking at like, hey, we can poach this guy, these two guys from DAZN, this guy from ESPN, blah, 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 and get a full schedule in the second half of this year and take over. Do you think there's a strategy, so to speak, from Showtime?
Yeah, I can see your angle and the idea behind it. I just think Tevin has been enjoying his DAZN money. He's been enjoying the run he's been on. I know some will say if we hear there's a new 3-fight deal with Tevin, it's he's ducked Gervonta maybe, but he's just I think they're even with this Scott Quigg announcement that he's fighting Jason Velez on the Rungvisai Estrada card. I think they're looking at trying to feed Tevin Farmer some more, find him some more opponents. Yeah, I don't know, but I totally see what you're saying. Does it happen? Maybe. Is it a strategy? It definitely could be looked at it that way, without a doubt. But I don't know. It'll be interesting how it plays out. But I partly think Farmer will re-up his deal.
You don't think so you do think Farmer doesn't sort of take like a one-off fight on Showtime and fight Gervonta Davis?
Maybe. I don't know. We'll see if how loyalty always comes into these things with certain fighters. I don't know whether Farmer will look at what I think they know Eddie's tried to make that fight. He's made offers to Mayweather Promotions, not to sign Gervonta Davis, but just to work together to make the fight. But whether that's from Davis's team to say, look, sit tight, his deal will run out, and then we'll make him a big offer, and you know, I can see you reading the chat. It's upsetting, but
No, the chat's hilarious today.
it
and,
always is. It always is.
It's on point, man. I missed our UK listeners in the chat. All of you guys, I really appreciate the banter, man. It's hilarious. The Catherine Zeta-Jones point has been really good. I will say that.
I missed it. I'm
You
obviously
have to go back in the show and read them again, Rob.
I will. What am I compared to Michael Douglas or something? Is that the
It's just in the likelihood, you know? It just
what, old and grey? All right,
no. Hey, anyway, you should be, if you were to ever be compared to Michael Douglas, that's a compliment, right? Come on.
I don't think so much lately. Maybe
not
back in the day a
now.
little bit.
Maybe not now, but like then like the Wall Street movie. What's the name of that movie? Is this Wall Street?
Wall Street, yeah.
Is this the name Wall Street? Yeah.
I
saw
think
that movie once, okay, but like that version, that'd be good for you. You have hair again. Can't be that mad.
All right, so we can just pick someone from a certain period of time, and they've got hair. I should be happy. All right, I'll go
It could
with
be
it.
worse.
I don't mind.
It could be worse.
But the Catherine Zeta-Jones stuff, I'm not taking a backward step in my love life. Thank you.
Anyways.
In case you're listening.
In case she's listening.
No, but you know. Anyway, chat. Keep it up. It's always entertaining.
Back to Farmer Davis. Is that fight just for shits and giggles? We don't have a lot of news today, Rob. We can do this.
Okay.
Joshua, I mean, list a number of fights to you, okay? Joshua Wilder, Spence Crawford, Loma Mikey, Gervonta Tevin Farmer. Out of those fights, which one is the quickest to happen, so to speak? Is the most likely to happen the soonest?
That's a tricky one.
That is, right? That's a good question.
It is.
Because Tank Davis, Tevin Farmer might be that fight. It's the lowest, I would say, reward and risk in terms of all those fights, in terms of magnitudes. It's also one that I would say has a clear path. Vicky in the chat, I'm listening.
Of course she is.
That's great, Vicky. Anyways, also, I mean, let's be honest here. Does Mayweather really care about Gervonta Davis the way that Al Heyman and Steven Espinoza care about Wilder, or care about Spence, or Bob Arum cares about Crawford? Like, let's be honest here. Like, in terms of like the value these promoters, managers, network execs place on the fighters and willingness to let them go or to keep them on their networks and hold them down, Gervonta and Tevin Farmer are more likely to sort of be like, yeah, you guys can go off and do what you can to make the fight, in my opinion. Tevin Farmer also network free agent after his fight coming up. On the
isn't Tank a network free agent?
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like they could go anywhere right now and have this fight. You know,
unless it's the zone and Ellaby is in control.
Absolutely.
But, yeah, no, that's probably the cheapest fight to make as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and also I think like Eddie would be like, okay, go fight Gervonta on Showtime. Like, then I think that is, you can use that in some sort of leverage for the AJ Wilder fight in some aspect. You know, like there's ways to maneuver the levers of negotiation with Gervonta Tank Davis and make that a pawn to greater fights. Where I think Eddie, DAZN, John Skipper, all those parties are more willing to let Tevin Farmer go for one fight and fight Gervonta Davis on Showtime or Fox or whatever, and make those parties happy to make a different fight later down the road.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, it would be a test of sort of one of Eddie's little mantras. He said, you know, he'd never hold a fighter back if he wants to go and do that. You know, if it means fighting somewhere else, you know, not a problem. I'll never, you know, hold a fighter back or anything like that. So that we'll see. We'll see how. Obviously, he'd be a little annoyed. He wanted that fight on DAZN, and judging by the sort of money that was rumored to being thrown at Tank for that fight, DAZN maybe really wanted that fight as well. But you know, yeah, I'd probably say, yeah, it probably would be that because I don't see Spence and Crawford anytime soon, not even on the horizon or anything like that.
And now Mikey Loma is just like far off in the distance in a fantasy land.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's obviously. I think Mikey's meeting with Mauricio next week regarding his 135-pound lightweight title. I think there was talk. Someone said sources say he's been up to 140.
Briefly, since that was the next topic, Rob. That's how little news we have today. Thoughts on Mikey moving to 135? Does it happen? Does it not happen? Let's briefly talk about that. Go down that rabbit hole and tangent briefly before we jump back to these big fights, super fights, and whether or not they happen. I don't think Mikey ever goes back down to 135.
Me either.
Like, I just don't see it. I think he is really comfortable at like a 140 weight class. I don't think he likes cutting weight anymore. I think that's pretty apparent, in my opinion. I
don't think he liked putting weight on either.
No, I think 140 is like a true like a natural weight class for him.
Yeah, yeah.
And that gives him the ability to go up and take the the occasional super fight at 147 that are gonna make him the big checks. Like, let's be honest, at 135, the biggest fight for him is a Lomachenko fight. Let's just be honest, right? But that fight is probably not gonna make him more money than what the Earl Spence fight made him. I just don't think so.
I would suggest, and I saw this banded around, and I can't remember which sort of high-level journo sort of also alluded to it, but when Manny was at the Spence Garcia fight, and then Manny was brought into the ring and everything, and he didn't look that keen, even though, like, yeah, sure, we can do that, but it didn't look great. Then Manny put out his who do you want me to fight next, and Spence wasn't on his poll.
I didn't see that.
But, yeah, he done a poll, and it was every fucking welterweight except Errol Spence was in the list that you could choose from, which says everything. But people suggested that he wasn't there to sort of spy or sort of scout Errol Spence. It was a possible Mikey Garcia fight, so if that is a possibility, that I think that's monetary wise a bigger fight than the Loma fight. A Manny Pacquiao fight, that's always, I guess, going to be a pay-per-view, because I think rumor has it that Al Heyman sorted out Manny Pacquiao. That was one of the conditions of signing, was that you sort out my tax problem.
Well, on top of that, even guys like a Danny Garcia, like, that represents some money for a Mikey Garcia. And I think it's either comparable or more money than a Lomachenko fight at this point. And somebody asked, I forget who it was in the chat, like, what big fights at 140. I don't think that's necessarily what I mean or what my point is when I say he's gonna be like a 140 fighter looking for the occasional big fight at 147. I think, like most boxers who take the 2 to 3 tune-ups and then a big fight, that's what Mike is going to do at 140. The 2 to 3 fights are going to be at 140. When he gets his rep up and he's be a main event or co-main event on PBC cards for the rest of his career. And then, again, he comes up for those big fights, either the second or third fight in that rotation, and it's against the Dannys, the Earls, the Keiths of the world, the Manny Pacquiaos of the world. It has all those other big names at 147. That's the big money. And I really don't think he concerns himself with 135 and Lomachenko or Richard Comey or Teofimo Lopez or Ray Beltran. Like, those names really, I think, do nothing for a guy like Mikey at this point in time. And at least in his mind. I understand from a fan's perspective, we all want the Loma Mikey fight. We want that. I think in the best case scenario, we would get, let's say, Mikey Luke Campbell, right? And that in the meantime, we have obviously Lomachenko Corolla, and then they fight next, and then maybe like a Comey Teofimo Lopez fight. Like, that would be the best case scenario for the fans, right? Like, that would all be great matchups, but that just isn't likely. It isn't And I also don't think that's what Mikey wants. And that's honestly, I think, probably more important at the end of the day. I think Mikey sort of waits out this World Boxing Super Series tournament at 140, sort of picks off the names, fights like a Regis Prograis on Showtime, and then moves up and fights a Manny Pacquiao, the Danny Garcias of the world. Makes big money, and he never worries about 135, Lomachenko, or Bob Arum ever again.
Yeah, I think Eddie mentioned he's spoken to Mikey about vacating the 135 title. Obviously, he's got Luke Campbell in the in the hot seat, ready to take that fight, and he believes if that happens, it depends how the WBC handle it, but I forget who is like the other guy in kind of that had an eliminator, like that would be step in. And it could also be, he said, obviously we've got Croller's going to go over and beat Loma, and he could step in for that. But and then in reality, he also mentioned Devin Haney could be the opponent for that. And then he was asked, "Are you signing Devin Haney?" And he said, "Possibly, maybe. It's sort of early, but kind of we're talking." But that's kind of I think, and I can't remember the journalist, but he believes it will be 140 for Mikey going forwards now. And I just don't think it's, he's gone up to 147, cutting back down. What would the WBC, if he says, I'm going to defend my title, what kind of time frame are they going to almost like put on that for him to make weight safely and sort of healthily? Because he's had that title a long time, and it's kind of been just sat there doing nothing, if you know what I mean. So I think that's kind of the pressure that I think Eddie had a meeting with Mauricio, and a lot of things were brought up, like the Dillian White situation, Mikey's title, a few things were brought up. So there's sort of pressure being put on, I guess, from certain promoters regarding certain things, and the WBC have got to, handle all that. But yeah, I think Mikey going forward will be 140, and like you say, maybe jumping up for the bigger fights at welterweight as well.
Let's move on, because I think we're largely in agreement here. Let's go to the topic I think you want to talk about the most, and then we're going to take some calls. 323-870-4051. Press 1 to get in the queue. If you're international, add us on Skype, Mixed Combat Radio. Steven Espinoza came out, and I think he was talking to Keith Idek, Boxing Scene. Yes, it was Keith Idek of Boxing Scene. And he had some really good comments, I would say, about like Wilder wanting autonomy. And then he had the headline of the article obviously saying, let's get back to making biggest fights for Wilder. And the obvious humor or irony in that, I mean, it's quite apparent. But, I mean, come on, guys. You know me. I'm a fan of Wilder, so I largely don't give a fuck about this. I'm just being honest. None of these top heavyweights are fighting each other, and we have Fury versus Schwartz, and he's received, I would say, less criticism than Wilder Brazil.
Sometimes it may be good, sometimes it may be shit.
And this time, the heavyweight division, kind of shit right now. But anyways, Rob, I know this is the topic that you really want to talk about the most. This is your PSA. This is your soapbox moment. Floor is yours, man. You're the A-Mike now.
I really wanted to talk more about Brian Adams. Don't worry, it doesn't go any further.
Copyright claim now.
Yeah. What did he say? What was his actual words? Like, let's get back to making the big fights.
The biggest fights for Wilder.
Yeah, it's just let's get back to it. I like we were there before.
The Fury fight was pretty big.
All right, so let's get back to one fight ago. Yeah. I don't know. No, you've kind of totally misread this. I just sent it because we were short on topic. It wasn't that I was chomping.
I know, Rob, but you're the UK guy. It's Wilder. Like you know why I swing it to you that way.
Yeah, I mean, look.
Pause.
He's got. He kind of.
Why add the visual?
he look, it's Wilder, you know, in Steven this whole like Team Wilder, even though Espinosa's just like a network guy, he's kind of like Team Wilder, obviously. They've obviously gonna have to really invest after the DAZN deal or offer. Yeah, they just say sort of weird stuff, and they never all seem to be on the same page. It's all different sound bites that kind of contradicts each and like, wait, Shelley said that, but JD has said that. Wait, no, Wilder said no. There's no. They're not on the same hymn sheet. They're
No, they're not. They're not, and it's really frustrating because we were talking about this on. We had a phone call earlier, me, you, and Fu, and I made the point that look, if they all came out and said very plainly, look, we know we turned down that big, huge contract from DAZN. We want this Brazil fight on Showtime. We match the offer or whatever, frame it whatever way you need to make it seem like the money is not the issue, right? So that can't be used to that can be used against you. Showtime matched the offer fighting Brazil here. I'm still a free agent. I still have the ability to fight Joshua next. That was always gonna be after Brazil anyways. And now we're still clear up in negotiations. Joshua's gonna fight Miller. I think both our values are gonna go up, and we can negotiate then. It's no problem. And that's all they need to say, and any follow-up afterwards can be a no comment. I've already addressed it, and they can move on. And if they were all saying basically that, they would be in a much better place than where they are, where all of them are saying different things that are sometimes contradicting each other, that are giving ammunition to not only Eddie Hearn, the Matchroom fan base, but podcasters like maybe you and other media members that are highly critical of them. And this is just talking as like a guy that likes talking about PR and optics and looking for angles on how to address consumers. They have addressed it poorly from the very beginning, and I don't know why it's that difficult, to be honest.
That's kind of like the thing about it is like we had this YouTube link waiting for what was it? Huge announcement for Wilder, and what it was just on Showtime. That was kind of we knew who he was fighting anyway. Stories had come out that he'd already turned it down, so the huge announcement was it's not pay-per-view. And then there was stuff all through the interviews of that evening, and you know, different stuff coming out, and it's kind of like you say, it just gives people ammunition, and there's always like something for people to jump on. So, and as much as I hate it when certain trainers or fighters or whatever, look, I'm just concentrating on this fight. You know, obviously, interviewers are looking to, you know, prod and get a soundbite and get a headline, and trying to like after this, you know, what are we looking at after this? But fighters, if they as much like I say, as it's annoying, and you're just like, oh, just answer his question. You say, look, I'm 100% focused on Brazil. Once that fight's out the way, then we'll look to the future. You know, we can look again, and we can do this. As much as you think, oh, give us something, but you know, and it you
can keep it very vanilla, very corporate, very coached, you know, in a way, and it can still work. And I feel like they are rejecting that in some fashion, maybe subconsciously. Like I don't think they're like came together like, hey, let's not be on the same page, guys. I don't think that, you know, meeting ever happened, but the meeting obviously never happened, and that I think is an issue.
I mean, there's a lot of talk about the meeting of DAZN was pure. A lot of people see it now that it was just going through the motions, because if it came out that a meeting was offered and this big offer was offered, and they said, well, no, we're not meeting up, there's that narrative straight away of, oh, they wouldn't even go and talk about it, like the Eddie Hearn thing. They won't even meet us for a meeting.
I wouldn't say it was going through the motions. I understand why people would say that. I wouldn't argue that. I would say it was clearly to get a number. It was clearly just to get a number to go back to Showtime with. which is obviously what they did, and Showtime is going to have to pay up. I think that is clearly what it is. Maybe it was quote going through the motions, but I think that is not the intent of it. Was to go through the motions. The intent of it was to get that number, and then go back to Showtime. That's pretty obvious.
And also, Shelley Finkel, I believe, was on Sirius FM with XM. Sorry, with Jerry Cooney, and I forget the other guy. But something along the lines of Wilder was obviously offered this 40 million, and Shelley Finkel then come out and said it was turned down. Especially now we know that Joshua was getting double, although apparently they asked what Joshua was getting and they weren't told the answer to that. So whether this is information that they found out, I know Eddie done an interview and I think Coogan kind of pressed him a little bit, and he said Joshua was making in line with what was offered. So whether he means the 60-40, so if that meant if Wilder was getting 40 million, Joshua was getting around 60 million. But if Finkel's saying it's double, that's 80 million. So I don't know. It's all, I guess, water under the bridge now to some degree because Wilder stayed where he is at Showtime. He's going to have his fight. Joshua's got his fight on DAZN. And I guess after June 1st, it'll all start again and we'll be back to Joshua Wilder negotiation titled shows.
Quick mention to the chat before we go to callers, 323-870-4051, press 1 to get in the queue. International callers, add Mixed Combat Radio on Skype. Fu in the chat arguing about Loma, obviously because he is the biggest Loma fanboy I've ever met. Fu, you can easily think of 5 names that you could argue are better pound for pound than Lomachenko. You could. You can't say definitely. To say like, oh yeah, this guy is definitely in the top 5 pound for pound is hilarious. Fu, that's pretty good. But you can always call in, Fu, if you want. You know, go on a work break, go to the bathroom. You're the manager over there, whatever you do. It's your last day. Take the shit on your boss's desk and walk out. What are you doing? Anyways, let's go to callers. Gary in Dallas. Gary, what's up?
What's going on, fellas?
Nothing much.
Robbie from the UK, what do we owe this occasion to?
That turns me on. That really makes me horny.
I'm glad to be here, Gary. I'm glad you missed me.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say that I missed you. I was just wondering what the occasion is.
Well,
Matt,
yeah.
did you see? Well, I never said I missed you. I was just wondering what brings the
No, to be fair, we done the
about
Patreon show and you called in, and then you went on some crazy rant, and I just left the hangout because I knew you and Matt were going to get a bit crazy.
No, it actually didn't get crazy. Really, it gets more crazy when we talk about like Thurman or the heavyweight division.
Okay.
But Matt, did you see the video of Shakur Stevenson in the street fight in Miami?
Oh yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
We did not talk about that shit.
It's all right. Yeah, we did see it. Gary, what do you think?
Do you still think that guy in that video can beat Brandon Figueroa?
Oh, that was good. That was good, Gary.
I don't know. I don't think his buddy could. He couldn't even drop the girl. She took those punches like a champ.
I wanted to get into Jermall Charlo too, because this is getting ridiculous with him. So I read a Boxing Scene article, and it said Brandon Cannon Adams picked Charlo instead of Triple G.
Thank you so much, Rob.
Was that Brian Adams? Was that Summer of '69?
Wait, how do you not know that? Obviously, iconic guitar riff. Like, come on, that's obviously Summer of '69.
Okay, I did. I don't get the reference. Are we back on the moon landing conspiracy? Is that why we played that song? I don't get why we played Trevor 69.
Because
Am I missing something?
Brandon Adams, come on.
Ow. Okay. It said Brandon Adams selects Jermall Charlo over Triple G. When did Brandon Adams become the pretty girl in school? When did he become the head cheerleader?
He won the contender, Gary.
Who goes to the dance? How does he get to pick who he wants to go to the dance with? Brandon Adams?
Maybe that was part of the prize. I
fighter.
don't know. Was that part of the winning?
He gets to pick Jermall Charlo over Triple G? That's because he won the contender?
I don't know. Maybe it was just bad wording in the article.
Put himself in the catbird seat. A year ago, no one knew who that guy was, and he doesn't have any quality victories. And by quality, I mean someone in the top 20.
Gary, people still don't know who he is. What are you talking about? A year ago, people still don't know who this guy is.
People still don't know who he is. And I'm not knocking Brandon. He's a good fighter, and he seems like a heck of a nice guy. But Brandon Adams picks Jermall Charlo like he's Canelo. Like I read that article and it blew my mind. Like, no, I'm not going to fight you. I'm going to fight.
Well,
Charlo.
maybe it just means he was offered a contract from Triple G's people, and he got offered a contract from Charlo's people, and he's chosen to decline Triple G and chosen to fight Charlo. So it's not that he's, the face of boxing that sat upon like this almighty throne. He's just he had a contract from two people, and he's picked one.
You're turning down Triple G. Canelo would not turn down Triple G, right? De La Hoya and those guys had to fight until the last minute to make that fight happen because there's just too much money in a Triple G fight not to make it happen. And Brandon Adams said, nah, I got better options than Triple G. I'll fight Charlo. Like, really? Brandon, okay, that blows my mind, first of all. And the second half of that is Jermall Charlo supposed to be happy that he's getting to fight Cannon Adams when he should be fighting Canelo Alvarez, a fight that he earned as a mandatory 2 years ago? Like, is this supposed to be like Jermall Charlo won a prize? He gets to fight Brandon Adams?
I mean, I would assume no.
I just want to press the soundbite every time he says his name.
Don't. We're definitely getting copyright. You play it way too many times.
I don't understand why is Charlo not either leaving Al Heyman and going to Eddie Hearn or suing the WBC for a title shot when he beat the one-legged Argentinian? What was his name?
Sue him on what grounds, Gary? WBC is within the right to not make that mandatory right now. What are you talking about?
What is a mandatory? Tell me what a mandatory is.
It's whatever they define it to be. It's whatever they define it to be.
AKA.
It can't be that. There's got to be some legal definition in the paperwork
legal?
that says what.
Gary.
There's got to be. When you sign
always a loophole, Gary.
Has got to be laid out.
Gary, there is literally the top paragraph on all of these rules and regulations that says at any point it's either I forget the name of it, like their committee, their council of governors or whatever, like whatever phrase they use to describe their board of directors, so to speak. When they have a vote, they can vote on any of these things to change the rules to basically abide by whatever rule set the committee votes upon. And the committee's vote supersedes all of these statutes. It's in their bylaws, man. It says it right there at the very fucking top usually.
So when he fought Highland 2 years ago, that fight was contracted as a final eliminator. So in that contract, I'm no lawyer, okay, but I'm very offensive and people generally want to sue me. That had to have defined what that means, what final eliminator means, right? It had to lay that out in some terms.
But then Gary, and then that clause at the very top says, then we can vote at all of our conferences or whatever they call them, and we decide whether that is finalized, whether that's official, whether or not we're going to follow that, abide by it. whether that mandatory is going to be a mandatory, whether we're going to enforce it, blah, 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 blah. Because why? They have the ultimate voting power on whether those rules are actually enforced and binding. They literally have a loophole clause at the very top. Well,
it's like
I will find it, Gary. I will look for it right now.
Okay.
As you were talking.
Don't worry about it right now. But if you could send it to me at some point, you have my email. Like you don't gotta do it right now, but if you can find it at some point and email it to me, I'd love to see that. I really would.
It's like numerous fighters have had numerous final eliminators, and they still don't get a shot. You know.
Well, then what's a final eliminator? Because like final is not like a subjective word. Like final means something, right? It's the last one, right? So you can only have one final eliminator. Otherwise, it's not a final eliminator.
Well, I know the English makes sense, but the rulings don't, because didn't Dillian White have like 3 final eliminators or certain or 2, and Brazil was still called as a mandatory.
That was so. Here's my point with Jermall. If Jermall was with Eddie, or was on with DAZN, he was, let's say, whatever, he was on that side, the Matchroom / DAZN / Golden Boy side of things. We'll just call it that. Do you think he would have gotten that fight by now with Canelo?
I don't know if he got it by now, but he definitely would be one of the Canelo's 10 fights on DAZN.
He'd have gotten it by now because he's in the mandatory position to get it. And he's been in that position for 2. I said the same thing. Look, Jermall Charlo is probably my favorite fighter in the world, right? I don't care about Dillian White. But I said the same thing about Dillian White. If there's any fairness, if there's any just in the world, Dillian White should have got a title shot. I don't even think he's any good, right? He should have gotten a title shot. He should be fighting Anthony Joshua, not Big Baby Miller. But, like, so what is the point of being the mandatory, of winning final eliminators, if you never actually get to fight for the title?
I know.
Seriously,
I know.
What's the point of it?
Well, it isn't. I mean, look, looks like Anthony Yard is being taught there's purse bids for Anthony Yard Kovalev, and Kathy Duva's got a venue in Russia all lined up, and he's the mandatory, but he's saying he ain't going to Russia, or his team are saying there's no way he's going to Russia for that fight. So work your way to mandatory to fight a champion, and then you don't want to fight the champion. There's all kinds of reasons mandatories don't end up being fought, but I know what you're saying, Gary. It's the same. Look at Dillian White is in that exact position. He believes he should have been the mandatory, and he would have that fight. And looks like they're going the long route for it, but it's just they make up the rules as they go along, man. That's the trouble. There's no like uniform set, like rule set as to right. You fight this guy, you fight that guy. That gets you the shot at that guy. And from there we go on. It just changes as and when it suits them. That's just how it goes. I guess in some way it's to make the most money along the way.
That's why I want to see the contract to see, like, because like Jermall Charlo and Al Heyman, they're smart too, right? Like they have smart lawyers. They're not going to put themselves in a position where they never actually get the shot. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just as smart as the WBC is, probably smarter. So how come they can't force their hand? Like what is that? That's why I just want to see it, because it just seems weird to me that you can sit like, and he's fighting nobody. It's not like he's fighting Triple G or fighting Danny Jacobs, and he's like, okay, these fights don't suffice now. We'll make the Canelo fight bigger. He's fighting Cannon Adams, and he's supposed to be happy about fighting Cannon Adams when he should be fighting the biggest name in the sport. It's ridiculous to me. I know he's going to get the headliner card, and it's going to be his name on all the signs, but it's Cannon Adams, and that was saying it's a good chance for him to bounce back. It's not looking good against Korobov. Nobody looks good against Korobov, first of all. And second, it was how? Like, if he knocks Cannon Adams out in 2-3 rounds, right, blows him out, destroys him, who cares? Like, who cares? So what does that do for him? Is he now a pound-for-pound elite because he knocked out Cannon Adams? Does it make him more marketable to the casual fan because he destroyed Cannon Adams? I don't think so. It's just, and this is like he fought Highland, and then he fought
Gary,
Hugo Centennial,
Gary.
right?
By the way,
Yeah.
I am at it. I'll send you the URL link. Okay, I'll send it to you via email. But for those watching on YouTube right now, you can see it. It's literally in the first paragraph of the rules and regulation.
1.1.
It's 1.1.
Ability and interpretation of these rules and regulations.
Now, there's a bunch of legalese, and then it gets to the WBC shall have sole authority and discretion to interpret these rules and regulations. Do you understand how important that sentence is, Gary? So
yeah, I just can't believe other smart people with smart lawyers would sign something that says that. That's the part that is shocking to me. That we're going to put you in mandatory position, but we get to decide what mandatory is. Well, then it's not mandatory. Then it's whatever you want it to be. Because mandatory and final are words that actually mean things. But if you get to interpret it however you want, then they don't mean anything. Mandatory could mean 16.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner. Yes, Gary. Yes.
Yep. Rule 1.3.
1.3.
Listen to this. The WBC president may take any necessary actions subject to ratification of any action of the Board of Governors. Where was the line? It was basically Mauricio can do what the fuck he wants, basically.
For those listening right now on podcast or YouTube, it's in the live chat right now. So if you open up the live chat on YouTube, you can see the link. I'll post it in the description of the video as well if you want to read the rules and regulations yourself. But yeah, this is like, it's literally the first paragraph. This isn't something that like you need deep legal knowledge and understanding to know of why things like mandatories and eliminators and even things like the word champion have little to no meaning when it comes to the sanctioning bodies.
Yeah, I mean, if that's what it says, then he has to like to stand on for legal recourse. I just can't believe that smart lawyers would sign something that ambiguous that we get to interpret it like however we want. That's what it is. Okay, then he has to sit there and wait. Then he has to like Jacobs is advised by Al Heyman still to this day, is he not?
Yes.
Am I wrong about that?
Yes.
Okay, so he can still go work with Eddie and still be advised by Al Heyman. You know what I'm saying? Like, he's got to do something to get himself in position to fight those names when they're all on the other side of the street. And he says he trusts Al Heyman completely, which blows my mind at this point. After 2 years of not getting your big money fight, he's now almost 29 years old, and he still hasn't gotten his big money fight.
Now, Rob might correct me on this, but Daniel Jacobs is not signed to DAZN. He's obviously he obviously is co-promoted by Eddie and Matchroom, but he is not signed to DAZN. It's sort of been like a whisper around the boxing world that like Heyman and company really want Jacobs to win, and the idea is that Jacobs comes to the Showtime Fox fold just like he used to be, and we get a Jacobs unified champion versus Jermall Charlo. That is sort of, I believe, the hope. From what others have said and alluded to, it makes some sense. That I think is what they're waiting for, is the Jacobs Canelo fight, because that will determine a lot. Because Jacobs is a network free agent, from my understanding.
Okay. Now I know there's a rematch clause if Jacobs wins.
Yes.
So, I mean, that would be at least 2 fights away, right? Because
yes.
The rematch would obviously still be on DAZN. That's fine. So we'd have to actually win both those fights, which, I mean, I'm not saying Jacobs has no chance against Canelo. I certainly picked Canelo, but I think it's a good fight. Give me, what % chance do you think Jacobs has of beating Canelo? I'd say like 25-30.
I was going to say that. I was going to say around 25%.
Okay. So it's not out of the question. Like, I wouldn't be completely shocked if Jacobs won, but it'd be a good little upset.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the betting odds are around like 3-1, 4-1 when they close.
Yeah. That's about what I thought. 3-1 probably would be where it would be at. And I wanted to ask Rob real quick on your boy, Lewis Ritson. I don't remember the last time. When did Ritson fight? Was it this past weekend or the weekend before?
Weekend before, I think. Yep.
Has it been that long since I talked to you? Okay.
Yeah. I think so.
He fought at 140.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem to have the same power that he had at 35. Like, he doesn't seem to be the same puncher. Can he make it back down to 35, or is he at 140? Like, is this a one-off that he just took at 140, and he's going back down to lightweight, or is he staying at 10 stone?
I believe 135 was starting to become real difficult for him. So I think he's looking at staying around 140. So, yeah. Look, obviously the hype train was the big over here because he done what he did at a domestic level. He totally demolished the British scene at lightweight. Basically won and defended the Lonsdale bout in the space of and won it outright in the space of 5 or 6 rounds. Brutal knockouts and everything. Looked amazing. Then he tried to go European level. Talk is that he really struggled on the weight. Yeah, sad. But
should be a movie.
You're a fucking hater, big time. Yeah, and then obviously he struggled at his 140 debut. The guy was pretty tough. Took some big shots, and it is. Maybe he's just not quite to the standard of,
Of what we thought he was. Yeah, because he looked like a physical force at 135, with good skills and good athleticism and good movement. At 140, it just once you make his power good, not great. Everything else looks more ordinary, right?
Yeah, he seems to be, when a guy can take his shots, he's kind of run out of ideas. His plan is to walk forward, get hit as many times as he gets hit, but he's going to land what he lands, and it's, going to shake the guy up. But people that can take the punch, he's then kind of run out of ideas. Yeah, I personally believe a different trainer would maybe be good for him. I think he's working with his dad, but it's obviously difficult.
And I was thinking about that, and I know Matt's going to hate this, but what do you think about it? Because I like Richard, I do. I think he's a good fighter. If you put him with Abel Sanchez, I know Matt's going to hate that idea because Matt thinks Abel Sanchez is about the worst trainer in the sport.
I don't think that. I think if you're a come forward, aggressive brawler, he adds nothing to your game.
I was just going to say, if he was a different type of fighter and you wanted to change him into a different fighter,
and he needed to be something more like a Triple G or Gassiev, then yeah, that makes perfect sense. But I don't think that's what Ritson's problem is that he needs to be more like Abel Sanchez style fighting. He's too much like that.
He needs to work on footwork, head movement, defense, mixing things up regarding his jab. Every jab, he's looking to knock the guy's head off. He kind of lunges and steps into every jab, and after a while, the guy was just slipping that jab, and then he just abandoned it because he wasn't landing it. But he needs to mix his pacings up, throw his punches at different speeds, mix it up, I think. But maybe he reached the ceiling, and maybe he's just going to stay a decent domestic level guy, and there's plenty of boxers like that. But he was just super exciting early on, it was like, wow, who's this guy? He kind of came from nowhere. He nearly walked away from the sport at one point, then got on this run, and the hype train took over a little bit, but he just found out he wasn't European level yet. Maybe he will, but I think there needs to be quite a lot of changes.
But you would think, and I think Matt, he would be more suited with a trainer like, say, Buddy McGirt than he would with a come forward trainer like Abel Sanchez.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
Ronnie Shields, Virgil Hunter, you know, those types of trainers would be far better than anyone in that mix. If it's UK, obviously a Caldwell would be far better than whoever he's training with right now.
All right. That's. I think that's all I got.
Okay, thank you for the call, Gary. Gary reminding us that we totally forgot to talk about Shakur Stevenson in the legal trouble he's in. We're not going to play the clip of the brawl because it's pretty sick. But I mean, at this point, the facts are Shakur Stevenson is on camera punching at least one female. I think there's a second one, and obviously beating up another male. He is now being charged with a misdemeanor. They are looking to up that to a felony charge, which for people that don't know U.S. legal system, felony charge is not good. That means usually some sort of jail time. I think Fu looked up what usually what the mandatory sentence is for that charge. It's usually about 10 years, which is a very long time. So hopefully that doesn't happen. But then again, Shakur Stevenson's on video hitting at least one woman, and it's not excusable in any way. It's not like she attacked him. She's literally looking the other way, and he comes up behind her and sucker punches her, and it obviously got worse from there. I mean, when stuff like this happens, especially with young guys, young talented fighters, it's just really, really upsetting. It's really frustrating. Let the legal system figure itself out, and hopefully justice prevails in a true sense. Rob obviously doesn't want to talk about this topic, and he's leaving.
Be right back. Chill.
Well, how should I take a call? What are you doing? Oh my God. Fine, Rob. But anyways, Rob coming right back. Okay, he was coming right back. Okay.
What's that?
You were like right back. Okay.
I told you.
Right back means like a minute, guys. Let's be honest. But anyways, right. Rob, to you, Shakur Stevenson, brawl, legal troubles, all the shenanigans, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not looking good. If that changes to a felony charge, I think the minimum was 10 years in prison. So damn. I mean, you see certain things and you think, it looks bad, but probably get away with it. Probably won't be too bad, but I don't know. It looked pretty brutal. Obviously, you don't know the full facts, what went down. The video clip, there's no audio. I don't know what kind of provoke or what kind of went on before that, but
doesn't really excuse.
No. I'm just going to say, when you're a trained, great amateur background, Olympian, now professional boxer. You can't go around doing that kind of shit. You can't do that as a normal citizen, let alone a professional boxer.
And let's be honest here, if it was just the guy and you get in a fight, it's very different, in my opinion. And maybe the legal system does go to felony charge. Maybe it does have the same ramifications, but let's be honest, it does have a different connotation to it with just fighting a guy. But the fact that there's two women involved and that he sucker punched one of them and attacked them seemingly unprovoked. There wasn't.
Yeah.
If you really think about it, the scuffle, the brawl started because Shakur Stevenson threw the first punch and started swinging. His
friend, whoever the other guy is, he proper tried to put it on this woman, this other woman. He landed some horrible shots on her. I mean, like a champ, she took it and kind of sort of came back, sort of almost like walking fine. You'd think, that would have been a definite KO. But You know, meanwhile, Shakur is proper putting it on this guy on the floor as well. You know, he was down. He kept throwing punches. It almost looked like the guy was like slumped on his knees. He was, you know, he was out. You know, I don't know, but it doesn't look good. I mean, again, don't know what's going to come of this. Interesting to see if he still fights on the. I believe that this goes to court in June, so he's scheduled to be on the Amir Khan Crawford.
Yeah, hit a big fight. Christopher Diaz coming up. That was a really big matchup for him on a big card. He was, I think, co-main event of that. God knows what happens in terms of that event. I think the court hearing is after the card, so I believe
June.
So I don't really think it's going to impede it. I'll be honest. I just knowing how the sport is, like in January we had Adrian Broner and Gervonta Davis both fight on respective cards while both facing hearings and legal court cases at the same time. So this happens unfortunately quite too often in this sport. It's just sad, man. A guy like Shakur, you know, he was such a talented guy. With such a great amateur background, with I think such a great machine behind him. Man, clean up your crew, like at the very least. Like clean up who you're hanging around with, because that shit shouldn't be happening. And I know he has some real OGs around him, like Jay Prince, like Terrence Crawford, like Timothy Bradley, that will, I think, sort of enforce that if he doesn't do it himself. And hopefully, again, if this just gets left to a misdemeanor, I think we move past this quite quickly, unfortunately. But it is just the way it is. That's how athletes and stardom works. But yeah, I have no further points on this. Rob, you want to take some more calls? You want to get like a palate cleansing topic? What do you want to do?
No, you can go to the next caller if there's a caller waiting.
Okay, your favorite unrivaled boxing talk and news over in Ireland.
Oh, not this fucking guy.
What's up?
Why not me?
How you doing, man?
Why not me? Is it bad to hear someone who knows what they're talking about for a change?
Ooh.
I know, man. I've just got to work with what I've got to work with, you know?
There can only be one.
Anyway. Right, what are we talking? What was the last topic? Stevenson?
Yeah.
He should go to jail. It's broke the law. He punched someone in the face. It's assault. He should go to prison. I don't care if he's a boxer or not.
Yep.
If anything, it's even worse. He's professionally trained to hit people.
Yep.
If he had hit a man, I'd say the same thing, pretty much. I felt the same way when I seen Broner hit somebody before.
Yep.
Whenever I see a fighter attack somebody, I think they should go to prison.
One Twitter comment did say, "Are you sure
I see people on the street, right? Just real quick, I see people on the street hit each other and go to prison for 10 to 12 years for assault,
and
they're not trained. So there you go.
I mean, one Twitter comment did say, "Are you sure that's Stevenson? Because that guy's footwork is awful."
Well, that probably does prove that it's Stevenson.
See what we did there.
But yeah, I agree. Jail time.
So what else are we talking about?
Triple G, Jermall Charlo, Mikey Garcia. What's next for him? He's meeting with the WBC next week. All that good stuff.
Why isn't Triple G and Charlo fighting?
Oh no. It was
why aren't they fighting? Is the question.
Oh, I don't know, man. Politics.
One's on the zone and one isn't.
I don't give a fuck.
Well, I know you don't, and we don't, but the powers that be kind of do.
We know why. It's politics. It's network politics.
Oh, fucking politics. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. Triple G versus Ndam. No one cares. Charlo versus Adams. Isn't it? It's Adams, right?
Yes. Brian Adams.
That's a cracking song, to be fair. Nothing fight again. Karabov was a much better fight, and that was on a week's notice.
Yep.
So it's just no interest. Tank versus Farmer theory. I love the way that was meant to be the topic, and I see more people talking about Tank versus Lomachenko in the chat.
Of
Tank
course.
versus Farmer, of all the things that you mentioned with the big theory, is actually the most likely to happen. It actually is, just because Tank's most likely to win that fight. That's pretty much the main reason. And Eddie will sell off his fighters. Pretty much, we've seen him do it. He'll sell them down the river. He's put fighters in there for nothing fights. Yeah, it happens. He's willing to let his fighters fight. What were you going to say, Rob?
I say, Matt. I say Kell Brook.
Matt, sorry.
I say Kell Brook as like the most obvious example.
Oh yeah, Kell Brook.
In the Triple G fight.
What about Callum Johnson and Beterbiev?
Ooh.
Before that fight took place, everybody was worried for Callum Johnson. Everybody was like, that's a highway to nothing. What about Dave Allen's entire career? Tony Yoka, Luis Ortiz, Dillian White. You're putting in a fat guy who doesn't train in there with elite level guys, like one elite level prospect and 2 top 6 heavyweights. This guy is barely top 100. If you're lucky. Who's his best win to date? Nick Webb, who was ranked 87 in the world.
Yeah, TBE.
When Dave Allen fought him. TBE, yeah, he is TBE. Same guy got beat by a 6-12 Sokolovsky. Oh, I don't even know, man. One thing that was earlier going on in the chat, and I just need to do this because I just need to let Jesse know something. You're not gonna the Fugatti, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna allow people to talk about like when you win the Olympics or anything like that to say that it's an advantage. I'm gonna prove that it is for one thing and one thing only. It's a lot easier to promote a 2-time Olympic gold medalist and get him fights earlier in his career just because he's already known. He's famous. He's a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. How many people enter the sport with more like followers on Instagram and Twitter than 95% of all professional fighters? Very few. So you can promote them and get them easier fights.
Was Fu arguing that having Olympic gold medals doesn't help your professional career at the start? What was the argument?
He was just saying that he's not going to allow people to say that it's an advantage when it clearly is.
What?
It clearly is.
Fu is saying you're right, by the way, in the chat. He's saying you're right. He's wrong. He's agreeing with you. He's backing down.
Personally speaking, the amateurs, that's where most... It's not like the best fighters, like, because obviously, like, Audley Harrison will spring to mind. But if you really look at, like, the Olympics, itself, a lot of fighters who win gold end up having great careers, like Sugar Ray Leonard, even though he wasn't the Val Barker winner at that tournament. What was his name? What was the name?
I wasn't listening, sorry.
Val Barker winner. Howard Davis Jr. won the Val Barker award at that Olympics, and he never became a world champion. You know what I mean? So it can stretch a lot of different ways. But if you go and become an Olympic gold medalist, you're automatically known when you start. Cassius Clay was already known. Sugar Ray Leonard was already known. It doesn't mean they go in and have amazing fights to start their career, but you can do that if they want to. You can put an Olympian in there with a guy who's already in the top 40 in the world if you back them, or top 30 or top 20 if you back them financially.
By the way, Unrivaled, Fu has just called in, and I think he wants to debate you a little bit. Is that okay with you if I put him on the line?
That's perfectly fine.
Okay. Fu in Dallas, a.k.a. our co-host, a.k.a. Chewbacca. Fu, how you doing?
What up, guys? Hey, I just wanted to clear something up. The point he just made, like Unrivaled made, 100% correct. It's absolutely easier to promote Loma. My point was that people will say, if you say Loma has 400 fights, Tank Davis has no chance, they'll say amateur experience doesn't matter. The pros is a different world. That was my point, is that people say that part of it. But then I took it like Unrivaled was saying the advantage was the experience of the amateur fights. The promotion thing, 100% fair point.
I was
Easy
just
to make
arguing that it's a
big
lot
fights with
easier to
Loma.
actually, you know, it is an advantage being an Olympian not versus not being an Olympian. It is.
Yeah.
Look
I
at
will
Charlie
make that.
Burley. He had to
I'll
fight
accept
in
that.
the Murderer's Row, the Black Murderer's Row. You know what I mean? I'm not going to sit here and say like the experience of an amateur and say that amateur experience doesn't mean anything. It means a lot. It's like doing an apprenticeship. How many guys, like, let's be realistic here. You go and you decide, you know what, I'm going to go and become an engineer. You don't go to college. You don't do a fucking traineeship. And you start working on lifts, yeah? You can build up experience, but the person who has the qualifications is going to get the job.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Oh, look, we can agree on that. What I'm saying is the talking points in the boxing world will be like Anthony Joshua. If you bring it up, gold medalist. What are they going to say against Deontay Wilder? Well, it doesn't matter. That's amateurs. Like when Dillian White,
but that's
beat
his
Joshua
fans. That's
in
his
the
fans.
amateurs,
You
right?
see, the way this is just the way I argue, yeah? When I'm arguing with people, I don't talk about what other people are talking about. I talk about what that person's talking about and what I'm talking about. Otherwise, you're bringing up frivolous things.
That's a great point. You've never said that to me. So that's a fair point. My thing is saying that, like, Rigo has great amateur experience, over 300 fights.
Yes, he does.
Ortiz has great amateur experience, probably, I think, over 300 fights again there. You know,
Roughly about
Triple G is the
275 is
same.
what's reported,
Like,
but yeah.
You know, so not everyone does what Loma has done in such a short span of time, even with that amateur pedigree or the 2 gold medals. Like, granted, I don't think that people tried hard enough with Rigo early in his career, and he's been inactive at moments and probably hurt himself. But I agree on all your points. I just wanted to call in and say that that's absolutely correct. It's much easier for Bob to put Loma in situations to make good money and good fights because of his amateur pedigree.
Yes.
I misunderstood your argument. I apologize for that.
This is amazing.
That's perfect.
This is the greatest non-debate I've ever seen in my life.
I don't get what this was meant to be a debate about.
I don't understand either, but Foo's wrong, and that's all I care about. And this has been 15 minutes of him apologizing.
I'm wrong. You guys act like I die on the hill. If I'm wrong, I'm going to tell you.
Foo, you're low-key the biggest diva of the group. That's all I'll say. We'll get to your call later if you want to stay on. Unrivaled, any other points you want to make on your call? Ignore Foo. He's muted now. We're back to you.
Any other thing? Well, one thing I want to talk about. I know you guys are going to bring it up in a week or so, probably, or 2 weeks or whatever. Can we just give a big shout out to April 27th for putting on the best show of the year so far? April 27th or 26th, whichever it is. Just big shout out. Big shout out.
Super excited.
That's just fantastic. We have like a real fucking pound for pound fight, and then a pseudo pound for pound fight on the undercard, and then we have like a World Boxing Super Series event taking place on the same day, and then a couple of weeks later we have more World Boxing Super Series. It's all starting to kick off. Happy days.
Thank you for the call, Unrivaled. Like that's been the good part about this sort of downtime is that it has been building towards a period of the year that's going to be nonstop. Like next week on till July, it looks like there's big boxing every fucking weekend. So that's pretty awesome. We're going to take one more call. We're going to get out of here. I'm going to go see Shazam in an hour and a half. So I might have to wait, like, be in a line. I don't know. Like,
Who's she?
Like, don't worry about it. Not Fu. Rob.
Yeah.
I'm so used to talking comic book stuff with Fu. But Rob, Have you gone to like a quote midnight showing recently?
No.
Me neither. And it's like my first time going to a quote midnight showing. It's a 4 p.m. showing, but a midnight showing for a movie, and it's in the era now where you have 4 p.m. showings for the quote midnight premiere, and you can buy tickets online. I have no idea if there's gonna be a line for this movie, but I do want to give myself some time. So I'm gonna take one more call and then head out of here.
Shazam is a movie?
Yes.
I thought it was the name of somebody down some red light sort of area.
That would be a wild prostitute name.
Shazam.
I would definitely not purchase her time services. I didn't want to seem that. I wanted to frame it better.
What's your name? Whatever you want it to be. Okay. Shazam. Like, fuck out of here.
Yo, if I'm the prostitute in that situation and somebody told me like I want you to call me I want you to be Shazam, I'm like, nah, we're not doing this. I'll go find someone else. Anyways, let's go out to Santiago in LA. Santiago.
Shazam.
What's up, guys?
What
Just
up?
Here, getting on with my day, listening to the show, and I gotta love those days when Unrivaled calls in. I think this is gonna go down as one of the best calls that you've had on the show thus far, if not one of the top 10 best. It was
You
fun to
didn't
listen
score that
to.
debate at 10-10, did you?
I'm probably more of a European judge than a lot of people will probably give me credit for, but besides the point. It's funny because I remember when we got that in the group chat too, the whole Shakur Stevenson shit. It just made me think, when was the last time this happened with Ortiz? Victor Ortiz, because we know Ortiz as a head case. But all of his head cases have been inside the ring. When we look at guys like Shakur Stevenson,
Victor Ortiz, I think, is currently dealing with a rape case right now.
Oh shit! Really? I knew about the McGregor one, but not that one.
No, this has been going on for a while now. Yeah, I think it's either like sexual assault, like allegations of rape, like. He's dealing with a pretty heavy charge right now, Victor Ortiz. So I don't know if he's the best example anymore.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But in hindsight, too, it's just kind of like, with a guy that's had his kind of issues, I would have expected more notoriety the same way that Broner's gotten his. You know what I mean? Because, like, when I look at a guy like Shakur Stevenson, the way he's conducted himself, the way he fights and everything, you see a level of professionalism there, and then to see him do something as stupid as this and it be caught on camera, it's kind of like, bro, I get that you're young and everything, but you're a professional fighter, man. You are professional. What kind of shit is this that you're letting yourself become involved in? This is how careers get ruined. And obviously, the powers that be, we'll see what happens. He'll fight. We'll hear about the proceedings. And that'll just be chalk it up to another day at the office, really, at the end of the day. So very disappointing, very depressing to read and see what's happening. I really do hope that he clears the circle of any of these bad influences and, does what he can to make sure this doesn't happen again, because this stuff can't fly, man. I still remember that time when Canelo got into a fight with Jorge Arce, I think. Mm-hmm. And that was between two professional fighters in a street fight. Oh, man.
Good times.
Yeah. And then obviously, like Unrivaled, no interest in the matches have been announced. I mean, dude, I still remember Adams from when he was competing in the Boxino tournaments. That's how far back I remember Adams. I expect if Charlo struggles with this guy, there are going to be some big questions to ask about how he's been managing his training camp and where his desire is at this point in his career. And as for GGG and Dom, we saw what David Lemieux did to Ndom. I expect the same, if not a little worse, depending where GGG is at in his career, because Ndom is a mover, but I don't expect it to serve him too well. And yeah, Davis Farmer. That's a matchup I think is being brewed in a weird way too, because it feels like it's being marinated, yet at the same time you kind of feel conflicted, like, is this really a fight that's going to happen, or is this a fight that's meant to happen, you know? Because the way these guys talk, the way that the whole thing is, the storylines have been progressing, it just leaves me sitting here thinking to myself, I don't even know if I want to be paying attention to this thing, because quite frankly, you know, Farmer's doing his own thing, David at this point is doing his own thing. If they make the fight, they make the fight, and if not, then so fucking be it. We know where their careers are more or less going at this point. Don't really have much else to add to any of the topics. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot. Otherwise, that's my call. Enjoy the showing, buddy. Have fun, and try not to drink too much.
Will do. Have a good one, Santiago. Rob, that's it for today. Let's head out of here. Final thoughts time, Rob.
Very, very, very quick. Carl Moretti lately has been an absolute savage.
Yeah,
Did you see his tweet the other day about that Ray Robinson guy? But boxing scene.
It wasn't Ray Robinson. It was somebody else. I want to say. It wasn't Ray Robinson. It was on that fight card. It was somebody else.
Yeah,
though.
it was somebody else. But Ray Robinson, the boxing scene article, it says Ray Robinson adamant he beat Kavalauskas, wants Crawford next. Carl Moretti has gone eye roll emoji. Ray, you fought in quotes. Well, gonna leave 2 tickets for you at Will Call for Crawford Khan MSG. Hope you can make it. It may be as close as you're ever gonna get to
oh my god!
Crawford. Holy shit!
Yo, no chill from Top Rank lately, man. Jesus Christ!
Oh man, that was like, damn.
Those guys need just to relax a little bit. Oh my god, you guys don't even have a deep stable. Shit.
But yeah, Shakur Stevenson looking like he's in a whole heap of trouble. Triple G and Dam, like I say, don't hate it, don't love it, not hyped, not disgusted. It just is what it is. It's a comeback fight, and yeah, hopefully something better after this one. Charlo, and I'm not going to press the soundbite. And Adams.
What soundbite?
Yeah. Huh? Say again?
What, deleted?
Oh no, I meant. Yeah, I'm not really interested in that one either. As well, even less than the Triple G fight. But yeah, Mikey Garcia, you know, leave that bout behind so the UK can get another world champion. Luke Campbell, let's go.
Now if he fights Teofimo.
Nah, it ain't Teofimo Lopez.
I know.
Yeah, Bob will get him the WBO or some shit.
I know. No, because that's Loma's belt. Come on, man.
Well, there you go. He'll line him up for that one. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, follow me, UK Rob MCR, Instagram and Twitter. Share the show, thumbs up. Again, the chat, no chill as always.
None.
I've been compared to Michael Douglas, a diva.
You haven't.
I thought I was. I thought that's what was going on. I missed it.
No. They said the likelihood of my conspiracy theory coming true is the likelihood of you dating Catherine Zeta-Jones. That was the joke. And you saw Catherine Zeta-Jones. You're like, wait, are they saying that I'm Michael Douglas because I'm old and white? Gray and got some wrinkles going on right there. I don't know. Maybe that's some inner projection coming out there, Rob. It's okay.
I know where I'm at.
I know.
I'm completely fine with it. It's just everybody else.
Anyways, I'm Matt the Hipster Hunter. You can find me and Matt Hunter, MCR, all platforms. Have a great day, great night, wherever you are. Hit the like button on your way out. Share the show. Head over to patreon.com/Mixed Combat Radio. Peace.
Are you off your tits? Have you been smoking something?
Everybody's on steroids. The whole UFC, everybody.
that's fucking illegal.
Fuck that shit. Fuck boxing. Fuck boxing.
That's stupid. Use your common sense.
Hey, pussy, are you still there?